When it comes to the UK, things are getting pretty bad. Because you must admit, every single day we're seeing articles that we've never seen before. And after a couple of weeks or a couple of months, all of these articles start to blend in. And time passes and we just forget them. So what I've done for you today, right, I put together a list of the worst articles that we've seen recently. And it starts off bad, but it just ends up I don't even recognise this place anymore. And we started the month off pretty strange with this article right here, where it says that NHS staff have been told how to make the best decision ever by their words, not mine. I wouldn't say this is the best decision ever, but they're saying that it's converting to Islam. And I don't think I need to remind you, but the NHS is the National Health Service. It's not the Islamic, at least not yet. Not until they get some of these leaflets out. But that is absolutely awful. But things didn't improve. Like I said, throughout this video, it's just going to get worse and worse. But we got to day 2, and we saw that migrant benefit claims have hit £1.1 billion. And they said that they were going to stop the boats, and they said they were going to sort the hotels out. And I guess how they've done it is they've just put the migrants onto the benefit system. Who needs a hotel when you've got universal credit? And that, to be fair, really seems like how they've done it. You take them out of the hotel so you can reduce those numbers. You look good for the election. But in reality, you've just, put him in a house of his own. But then we saw this article here about a low-traffic neighbourhood, where it says that London ambulance drivers have been fined for stopping. Now, even the way that you can see it there in the photo. I didn't take it. I wish it wasn't blurry, but I didn't take this one. But you can see we've got 2 ambulances doing a 3-point turn, just because they've got somewhere to go. I'm sure they've got important stuff to be doing. But now they are blocked in from, you can see the bollard there, from the low traffic neighbourhood. They're completely blocked in and they've got to do a 3-point turn just to get out of there. Imagine if they're 2 ambulances. Probably quite a serious situation. One is bad. When you got to send 2, maybe there's even more than that. And they're just getting stopped in the street. Now they've got to turn around. When quite literally, they say it themselves, seconds count. But, apparently we can just have half of our roads blocked off. And the government don't seem to care. But then the very next day we saw this. It's a statistic which, honestly, I haven't been able to get it out of my mind since. It's just probably the best example of government hypocrisy that I've ever seen. Because he asked the Secretary of State for Business and Trade what proportion of vehicles rented by his department are electric vehicles. Pretty straightforward question. He asked a government department, how many EVs do you rent? And this guy, who's also a Labour politician, come back and said the department has a contract with Enterprise for car hire. And in 2024 to 25, there were 672 rentals, of which 4 were electric vehicles. So that's less than 1%. So whilst the government has sat there, on their high horse, or in this in this example, on their high combustion engine, they're sat there telling you to get an electric vehicle. They want you to go out and sell your vehicle which works, which you've had for years and it's reliable. But they're sat there with less than 1% of their rentals as electric. Honestly, I couldn't get over that hypocrisy. They're telling you to do one thing, whilst not doing it themselves. Really makes you sick, doesn't it? And speaking of probably a similar subject, we've got this here. You can see, they're your new neighbours. Say hello to them. I've cropped their feet out because none of them had shoes on, and nobody needs to see that. Do you know what I mean? We're not talking sandals, just feet on the community floor. Ooh, that's not for me. That is definitely not for me. But as you can see here, it's a census data coming from England and Wales. And in I won't go through the whole numbers. We've got some crazy stories coming up in a moment. But in 1961, you can see that they were 0.1% of the population. And we had 7 mosques. It's only 7. I hate to say it, but, it's probably quite reasonable. It's like having 7 vegan restaurants in the whole of England and Wales. It's only 7. But fast forward to the modern day, and we've got 1,500 registered mosques, and a Muslim population, That was in 2011 with the mosques. But we've now got a Muslim population of 6.5%. That is great. You wouldn't even see that with Bitcoin. That is some serious growth. That's unbelievable. I'm going to tell you, buy shares. Don't do it, but, go back in time and buy shares in Islam. Apparently that's that's the trade of the century. And I would safely say that the stock market analysts out there, they would probably tell you to continue to invest, because I bet they're forecasting quite a meteoric rise in the next couple of years. Which brings us on to this subject here, and it's quite a strange one, especially when you consider that last one. Because this is a job listing from the BBC, and it's a positive, what they're calling a positive action scheme. It's not positive. It's definitely not. But it says, as such, you must be from a black, Asian, or minority ethnic background to apply. And you got to think to yourself, right? The BBC, they'll call this positive action because they'll think, we're doing BAME people a solid. We're doing them some good work here. But go back to the last story, their numbers are increasing left, right, and centre. If they were a stock, they'd have a AAA rating. But here they are, the BBC's just giving them jobs, whilst specifically saying that we can't apply. It's it just makes no sense, does it? Unless it's part of an orchestrated plan, but come on now, that's definitely not it. Come on now. And whilst every single day you see the government try and track what you do, it turns out that when it comes to Sudanese Steve, turns out that they're not tracking him at all. Because Rupert Lowe asked the Secretary of State for Health and Social Care what proportion of new GP registrations were made by non-UK nationals. Again, pretty straightforward question. How many GP registrations have there been for non-UK nationals? And Stephen Kinnock for Labour says this department does not hold the data. And what got me going, there's always something that gets me going, but what got me going with this one, this is the Department of Health and Social Care, and they don't have the data. This is like asking the DVLA, how many licenses have you given out this year? And if they said they don't have the data, the same way that the Department for Health and Social Care don't have it here, if they don't have the data, who does? Do you know what I mean? It's a joke, isn't it? They don't have the data. Again, I'm looking around. I can't see anyone else who'd have it. Which, it just means that they're not tracking it. It'd be quite a decent thing to track as well. Of all the things they're going to look at, they're not going to look at this. But meanwhile, if you tick that box on free prescription, when you're not eligible for a free, what? You ticked the free prescription? That's a crime. They'll track you left, right, and centre. They'll track it even as you tick it. Trying to tell them that you can get a free prescription when you're not eligible. I've never done it myself. But if you try to do that, they'd go insane. They'd hold that data for eternity. But when it comes to Libby and Larry, no, come on. He's safe as houses. Come on. It's good as gold. Unbelievable.
This country has gone crazy.